Well, thank you, Amy, for taking the time to speak with
Of
toofab
course.
today. I watched this movie last night. I mean, for me, just as a viewer, it was, intense to watch. It was very
Yeah.
terrifying to watch as someone who goes to hospitals. I mean, so I can't imagine for you, just as someone who has lived through it. What is it like to watch this movie back? Does it bring up like feelings of PTSD, or is it more of a cathartic experience? Or both?
I think both. I think both. Definitely, it's very triggering because holy cow, like
Yeah.
these performance, he is Charles Cullen. He is. I was actually just talking to the detectives, Tim Braun and Danny Baldwin, and they both said the same thing. They
Mm,
watched it and they said they had to step back because they could not believe how much Eddie is like Charles Cullen in this. Like
wow.
it is literally like he is channeling him. So I mean, there was certainly that triggering part of it. And then there was the beautiful healing portion of the movie, watching Jessica,
Mm,
because she plays the me from 20 years ago. And we're always very harsh and very judgmental about who we were when we were younger and wish that we had done things differently. And I was able to look at her in an objective manner and think, you know what, I did okay. I did okay.
yeah. And I mean, when you do learn that Jessica Chastain is going to be playing you, what is the initial reaction? I mean, and what were those initial conversations like with her?
So little insider, there were a couple of other actresses that were attached to this. And I remember saying to the producer, Scott Franklin, I'm like, can we get Jessica Chastain? Because I was such a fan, and
Yeah.
not like those super fans. I was very much so drawn to her performances. She is, she is truly, to me, the best actress of our time.
Yeah, she's incredible.
And so, and they were like, we're not getting Jessica Chastain. Like, I really believe that I manifested this. I genuinely believe that every night when I went to bed, I was like, but Jessica Chastain. So yeah, when she was attached to the project, I was jumping up and down, doing the ugly cry. I was like, no way, no way.
And did she want to talk to you? I know some actors don't want to meet the people they're portraying, others relish the opportunity. What was that like for you two?
So I don't know what her process is. I do know that she was encouraged to talk to me by Tobias, because Tobias and I had those conversations.
Yeah.
But Tobias, and I also recognized that she was going to be playing a me from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that me was so different. And here I am, much more wise. I have so much more confidence. I'm now 17, 18 years outside of my my heart surgery. So I'm more healthy. So I really was concerned that somehow this was, this person was going to be put into her character of me. And I think she did such a beautiful job of melding both of us. I think she did add a little bit of that gentleness that I've acquired. I think also she was able to capture how my terror actually turned into empathy. And I genuinely believe she is the only actor that could have done that.
Yeah, I mean, she's just incredible in this. So,
Yeah.
and as any movie, TV show that's based on true life, there are some creative liberties that are taking just for storytelling purposes. Just how does this compare to what actually happened? And how do you see those changes as a positive?
So Christy Wilson Cairns, the brilliant screenplay writer, we spent a lot of time together. And also this was almost 8 years in the making. So she and I had a lot of time to spend talking about the script. And the things that she changed made sense. I really do believe that if I said this doesn't make sense, this isn't going to translate, I feel like this is so far away from the truth, I think that if I had given that opinion, they would have changed it. I do understand that trying to take this complicated situation and change it into a 2-hour movie, there was no possible way that they would be able to describe, for instance, the intensity of closeness that I did have with this person that I only worked with. I was so close to him. And the way that she writes it in the script, to translate it to that we spent, a lot of time together outside of the workplace, I understand why they did that, because I don't believe the audience would be able to understand just how close we were without that piece of it. So yes, the things that she wrote into the script that took creative liberties, really it was to give the audience a deeper understanding of our relationship.
And, just speaking a little bit about your real life experience, just how difficult was it for you to have these suspicions about Charlie while also maintaining or pretending to maintain a friendship with him once you were confronted with this evidence? I mean, that's like spy stuff right there, which is terrifying to think of.
Well, and it was. My phone was tapped. I also had all of my conversations recorded with him. So I would, spy stuff. Like I would go to this like dark warehouse and sit and talk to him on the phone with, 6 agents around me, and I pretend that I was just in my living room or in my kitchen, just having a conversation with him when I have all of these people listening in. And I don't know how I did it. I think maybe also I found a way to disassociate from the actual investigation, because I could do that as a trauma nurse. I've worked on people that are loved ones. I've worked on people that I know, and I have to leave all of that at the door, disassociate, do my job. I can fall apart later, but I think that that's where I got that strength from, is learning how to be a trauma nurse, and yet, when I'm at home, I don't even like taking out the garbage.
And obviously, like, the wildest part of this whole story is how instrumental you were in getting the confession. Just how stressful is that to be brought in knowing that that's what they want you to get out, and then when you start hearing the confession itself, what starts going through your head? Because I'm sure knowing these allegations, seeing the evidence, and then actually hearing him saying it are still two very different things.
I initially felt relief knowing that we wouldn't have to go through this anymore. So when he finally said the words, it was just this intense relief of, okay, now we can, just get on with what is next in this investigation. And I also knew that, my piece of it was now done. The other part was just intense heartbreak. My heart was breaking for him, knowing that my friend Charlie was going to be spending his life behind bars. I knew that I was also going to be grieving a friendship that meant so much to me. So it was very layered. It was very complicated.
And just moving on past that, does conversation cease at that point, contact cease, and how were you able to maybe put that chapter behind you, if you can?
It took a while, and I certainly went on a very deep spiritual quest. I really wanted to get to the heart of why I could love someone so dark. Also why I did not see that darkness right in front of me, because so many people believe that you would know, you would just, I think so many people would think that if there was a mass murderer right in front of you, you would feel something. And I thought I would feel something, and I didn't. So I started questioning my own intuition. And so that spiritual quest led me on a beautiful path and a much deeper relationship with myself, and with other people, and with forgiving and being allowed to forgive myself for not seeing it.
I was gonna say, I saw something that you said that it just highlights how you focus on the good in people. And I think that is a beautiful attribute to have and something to acknowledge. So I'm glad you were able to realize that. And lastly, I just wanted to ask, because you're at the center of this, true crime stories in TV, it's so popular right now. Just how do you think having these types of projects can be a positive, can be beneficial?
I think Tobias and Christy worked very, very hard, highlighting the fact that these victims were people, and being able to connect with the victims was the most important part for me of this film. Also highlighting the fact that gentleness is sometimes so much more powerful than trying to bully someone into, the fear of being captured. The only way that he is behind bars is because of that gentleness and because of that love that I had for him. And I think that that's really the takeaway with this, is that love and gentleness can move mountains and can put serial killers away.